Hey guys, my name is Matimio, and today I'm excited to say that we have finally got an official reveal of the upcoming DLC for Rainbow Six Siege called Blood Orchid. It's going to be released on all platforms on August 29th, meaning that on that day, everyone's going to have access to the new map, all the new cosmetic items, and if you are a Season Pass owner, you're also going to be able to play and use those 3 brand new operators. Of course, like every past DLC, if you don't have the Season Pass, and you've saved up all the renown, and I think it's up to about 75,000 renown at this point between all 3, you're also going to have access to those operators in that next week. Now, this information alone is fantastic news. We finally have a release date. It's just around the corner. It's a couple weeks away, but this isn't all that we learned from this reveal. Here's a picture from a quick little segment from this little trailer where we actually get to see one of the operators from the backside. Now, some people have speculated that because it appears that this person has climbing rope, that maybe their special unique ability is that they can rappel outside of a building silently. They don't make as much noise as all the other operators. Some people have speculated that maybe this is the first time we're gonna have someone who can rappel up and down hatches. And while all of this is possible, if I had to take a guess, this is just a bunch of cosmetic items. If we look over at a bunch of the other operators in the game, like Blackbeard for example, he has scissors on his uniform. He's not Scissor Man, he can't do anything with that gadget, and so I think this is just something that kind of distinguishes them from all the other operators in the game, and it just gives them some uniqueness. I could be wrong, these things could have something to do with their unique ability, but if I had to take a guess, it is just purely cosmetic. Now, one thing I think that is substantial about this, though, is that if we slow down the trailer, you'll notice at the very tail end of it that he or she reaches into their vest and pulls out some sort of canister. Now, we don't know what's inside the canister, of course, but it could be a wide variety of things. It could be Smoke 2.0, but for offense. Kind of unlikely because we already have Capitao, which serves that same function. It could be the new Caltrop operator. Some people have speculated that you would throw this on the ground, Caltrops would scatter all over the place, and you would slow the movement of everyone or anyone that passes on through. That's another option. But what we do know is that they do pull out some sort of gadget, maybe a grenade, that they're gonna have at their disposal. The next image that they showcase is the face of one of the new operators. Now, it's hard to say if this is the same one that we just saw previously, because if you notice, she's got a lot of padding on her shoulders, and the last one doesn't have a lot of padding. So either this is just a bad angle, or this isn't the same person. Regardless, though, it's nice to finally have a face of one of the new operators. She looks great, and I cannot wait to learn what her gadget and her abilities are all about. The next thing that Ubisoft has teased us with is an image of one of the upcoming new Polish operators. Now, there isn't a whole lot to gather from this. There's some stuff going on in the background, but we're not going to get into that. What I'm excited about is what's in her or his lap. It looks like an M4A1. Now, it could be an M4 variant. We don't know exactly what it is because they haven't told us, but it really does look like an M4A1. If that's actually the case, that makes me incredibly excited. Now, what we don't yet know about this, though, is will it be an offensive or a defensive weapon? My gut is telling me, because this is a carbine, or a carbine, however you want to pronounce it, it's going to be delegated to the offensive team, but they could throw us for a loop and make it a defensive weapon. There is one other carbine in the game, and that is designated to Jaeger with his 416C. It's the only carbine in the game for the defensive side. This could finally be the second. We also don't know if this is going to be a burst fire exclusive weapon, which would be the first time that we get something like that. This could be the M4A1, which is fully automatic, but there's other variants of it, like just the M4, that I believe is only burst fire. If that's the case, that would be incredibly interesting. We don't have any guns like that right now in Rainbow Six Siege, and I would imagine that they would have to balance it accordingly. If every other weapon in the game can be fully automatic, just squeeze a trigger, bunch of bullets fly down range, well, this has to have something that makes it more unique. Maybe it hits really hard per bullet. Maybe it's incredibly accurate and doesn't have a lot of recoil. That's another possibility. All in all, though, I'm really excited about this news. I love the look of the M16 or the M4 in basically every first-person shooter. I just think it looks like a really cool gun, and the fact that we're gonna be getting it, or it seems like we're gonna be getting it, makes me one happy camper. The next piece of news that we have available to us is a look at the brand new map's blueprints. Now, we already knew that this is gonna be a theme park. That was revealed a long time ago, and admittedly back then I got excited about this because I assumed that this was gonna be a very bright and vibrant map. When I think a theme park, I think really bright colors. This is probably the reason why I like Coastline so much, is because it is so bright. but that is not what we're getting whatsoever. Yes, it is going to be that same theme. We're going to have a carousel out in the distance and stuff to that nature, but it also is an abandoned theme park. It's going to be rusty, it's going to be dirty, and if you look at that picture that we saw at the start of today's video, you'll notice that this thing has been abandoned for years. Another thing that we can gather from these blueprints is that it looks like there's going to be a wide variety of different combat depending on where you're situated. So on the top view, we've got this gigantic skylight right down the center. Now, we don't know if you're going to be able to shoot down into the building from this location, but if I had to take a guess, if we look on over to the second picture here, this skylight overhangs these two long hallways. Now, I'm guessing that you're only going to be able to shoot people in this hallway, but that kind of splits up the map, at least on this top floor, into two different sections, the left and on the right. And so if this is true, and once again, this is speculation, I imagine what will be possible is that you can either approach the building from the outside, like every other map in the game, but you could also make it really interesting and approach it from this middle section and have someone up top making sure that you're safe from that spot. So you have someone on the skylight, they watch the door, someone comes in, they either repel or they just make their way through a couple of the doorways, and then they start to approach the objective from that location. That could be really interesting. Another thing I'm curious about is what they're doing with this breachable wall. You'll notice that there is this staircase here, and then you either have the option to go through a door into one of the hallways, or you can break open a door and then break open this breachable wall that gets you into like a small little cubby room. Not exactly sure what's going on there. And so once again, I really do think that this middle hallway is going to have a lot of dynamics. Not only does it have a lot of close quarter combat with these small cubbies, but it also has some long range engagements as well, which is going to favor that offensive team. Moving on down to the ground level, this is where it looks like it's going to get much more personal. Now, it looks like there's going to be 3 different staircases that you can take advantage of. And so this isn't going to be another Hereford base where there's only one. If offense takes, the top floor, you're basically screwed. That isn't going to be the case here. If you're on defense and you know the layout and you're sneaky enough, even if they do have that top skylight lockdown, you're going to have some options to flank around and not die or be forced to go through that dead zone. Another thing I noticed is that it looks like they're giving offense a lot of options to get into the second floor that doesn't require them to rappel through a window. One of the reasons why Bartlett University is one of my most hated maps is that there isn't a lot of ways to get actually inside of the building that isn't through a window. If you want to get into the second floor, you basically have to rappel or jump through a hatch. If anyone's in those sections of the map, you're basically dead. They have a massive advantage against you. You make a lot of noise when you rappel, you jump through the hatch, you're gonna make some noise as well, and it just leaves you at a huge disadvantage. And so what I'm liking about this map so far is that it looks like offense is gonna have some options here. They've got the staircase on the north that gets them into the main hallway. They've got this one on the west side of the map. There's gonna be a staircase there as well. If we move on over to the southeast section, there looks to be a balcony, which is also gonna give offense some options. And while it's not as crazy as something like Skyline, where everything is a balcony, I'm glad that's not the case, because then it just turns into everyone on defense running out and shooting from the side. I'm glad that's not it, but this seems like a nice balance. There's options, it's not just pigeonholing you into rappelling through a window, and I'm really crossing my fingers that's going to make for more enjoyable combat and just a more enjoyable way to getting into the building. And so all in all, this looks like an exciting map. It's hard to say from the blueprint, let's be completely honest. We're gonna have to play on it, we're gonna have to get our hands and play on it for tens upon tens of hours to get a good grasp if this is a solid addition into the game, but I'm very, very hopeful. In general, though, all of this news has made me even more excited for this upcoming DLC, and August 29th can't come soon enough. I'm hoping that these new operators really change things up, because while Mira and Jackal have been great, I think they're great additions into the game, it's been 6 months since they were released and things have stagnated quite substantially. And so I'm crossing my fingers that these new operators are going to mix things up in Rainbow Six Siege, kind of change up the meta, and I'm hoping it's all going to be for the better. But yeah, guys, that is about it for today's update. I hope you enjoyed. Let me know what you thought about what we revealed today. Are you excited about the new operators? What do you think their gadgets or their abilities are going to be? Are you looking forward to the new map? Are you disappointed by the theme? Let me know down below in the comments. But yep, until tomorrow, have a good one and take it easy.